Hi, today is 21st of March, so that's the autumn equinox, so we thought we'd do an update, show you what we've been doing over the last 9 months. I've got into doing some compost after watching Jeff Lawton's video. I've tried to do the 18-day compost. So that's the second pile that I've done. First pile's been used already. It's got a little roof over the top with a pipe with a slot, so any water gets collected. We have to really conserve water here and collect whatever we can. And the third pile's over there, and this one I've actually covered with plastic. The first two piles seemed to dry out very quickly, and I found I was using a heck of a lot of water, and I didn't want to use so much water. And if you don't add water, then it doesn't really break down. So the 18 days has ended up being 30 days for the first two piles so far. This one is 30 days. I'd say it's almost ready, although it's still pretty warm, but it's getting quite well broken down. Bit of warmth in there, so I could use it but not plant into it yet. We've had a little bit of rain lately, but certainly not enough. It's been dry, half the average rainfall per month over the last 4 or 5 or 6 months. So it's been drier than what it should be. The summer rains haven't really eventuated. Hopefully we're going to get some more, but we've managed to water well enough that we still have water in our house tanks, and we have a bit of spare water up the hill for firefighting and occasional irrigation. This is a worm bath. I got some worm castings, or like a ute load, that happen to have quite a lot of worms in them, so I've decided to make my own worm bath and another worm farm you'll see later on. These worm castings I haven't used. The others were put around the garden to inoculate the garden with worms, as well as to provide some fertilizer. So what I've done here is I've got 2/3 worm castings with 1/3 manure. And so what will happen when I need castings again, I'll dig out this third and replace it with manure. And then at some point I'll take out the middle one by the time all the worms have gone into the poo, and take out the middle castings, use that and replace it with poo. And over time hopefully it will become castings again, and I can just kind of use a third at a time. Coming around the back of the house, there's Jack. That's it. Our own 2 tomato plants are still going. We've got hundreds and hundreds of tomatoes, little yellow ones and little red ones, just off these 2 plants, and a few other herbs and that down the bottom. I want to show you the little gutter that I put on, just a pipe with a slot again, so that water doesn't get wasted and we collect it in the bucket. But I might put a pipe going down to the bath, and the bath is going to become a water garden hopefully fairly soon, although perhaps it's better to wait until spring. Herb spiral is looking alright. Some herbs are finishing and others are doing okay. This is the fig tree on the right, and the covering it with a net really helped. We ended up getting probably a good 25 figs. We made a few jars of jam. We also covered the peach on the left, which is a small wild peach, and again we got a lot of little fruit, but actually quite good for jams, and made some more jam. Plum jam with perilla, very nice. So we also did some wicking containers, 2 baths. This is just another funny container we are growing in. So we've just planted seedlings in here, sort of autumn planting for winter crops. So they've germinated okay and growing, and then soon enough we won't have to water very often. So we have 6 chickens now, and that's one house with a bit of a tractor, that little box cage thing that can move around. So they've been over this area for the last 3 or 4 weeks now, and yesterday our electric net finally arrived, so we've put that up near the main house. So we had 3 chickens in the main house and 3 in the small house. We'll go up there soon. I want to show you the other worm box I made. It's a wooden box made from recycled wood from the burn pile at the sawmill, with corrugated iron sheet at the bottom, so any liquid drains down to the end. I made quite a slope on it, and again that collects in a container with a bit of shade cloth and hessian sack. And again I've made sort of 3 piles of worm castings and then 5 piles of manure on either side. So there you can see horse manure, which is sprouting. It has to be moved around a little bit to get rid of those sprouts. But the worms will move from the castings into the poo and convert them. So this is the pig pen behind, and I built the worm box right next to the pig pen because pig manure is really good for worms. They break it down, and they really like it apparently. So easy access from wherever the pigs tend to poo straight into these boxes later. Still got a bit of work to do on the pig pen. We have to dig underneath the iron and put in a bit of concrete or something to stop them digging underneath. But we've put iron all the way around, and we've put fence almost all the way around. We've got a gate up here. You can see some water storages we did with pipe going through and into the cage, so we've got a water supply inside the chicken house, so their roof catches their own water, and then the one on the right we'll use for the water for the pigs. So that bit of concreting reinforcing, that's going to be our gate that opens inwards. And so this will be the pig pen. So there's the 3 big chickens inside of the 3 little chickens, and today is the first day that they've been introduced to each other, and of course the 3 bigger ones are playing it out to bully the little ones a bit. Also we did this little planter box out the front to grow the chicken food, some greens, winter greens, some sunflowers and a few other things, sprouting nicely. And so we'll see tonight how the 6 chickens get along. Hopefully they can all roost together. We did get a second net, which is actually for sheep and goats, but we might join it with this net to make a bigger area, and then at some point if we get sheep or goats then we will have a separate area, and hopefully we'll be successful with them and move them around. We don't have to lawn mow. Girls. The white ones are West Sussex, and the 2 black and grey one, I'm not too sure what breed they are. And they should start laying very soon, hopefully. I'm going to walk up to the reservoir, because I don't think I filmed that last time I made a video. That's supposed to be our cat, Jack. And a bit of a deck up here so we can sit, have a look at the view. One of the shade cloths has fallen in, so I have to tie that back up. But every time we have some water somewhere, you know, in a pond or whatever, the life just appears. And there's so many tadpoles in there. We did add some fish, got some fish from the dam up the road. And I've got a little floating thing with some soil and plants in it. And yeah, spiders come and beetles come and wildlife, it appears. So what that means is that it will build some soil on the bottom eventually, get soil. And when we do siphon the water out to irrigate, then we will be putting nutrient-rich water down onto the crops and the plants and on the land. So yeah, another way to fertilize. So that's the view from up here, looking down. So you can see there's the guest room, there's the chicken house, that's the main house there. Now we've just spent quite a lot of time filling up this old dam and putting mulch over the top and terracing around, and I planted the little top bit I'll show you later. Probably going to put one more load of mulch on it and then put little mini swales in it and plant it out with any green stuff that will grow, and just overwinter it, hope it breaks down a little bit, maybe add some worms, and then in the spring we will spot plant into it, dig a little hole, put a little bit of compost and plant some stuff, even some trees as well. We'll cover it with some light hay mulch as well. You can see down there the pumpkins have been doing quite well. See those later. And yeah, this is the view that we come up and enjoy at times. It's quite peaceful. If I do a 360, you can see some forest up the hill. The property goes up and up and up. I mean, we're on 30 acres and it's like that for the next 60 meters up in height, vertical height, probably a few hundred meters up. It just keeps going. So we go for walks sometimes, but often get lost. This is our little food forest area that we fenced. Now we've cut the grass and weeds a couple times, and I've just recently planted 3 legume trees, and I'm trying to get some more legumes to plant out, because we didn't plant the legumes out in the beginning like we should have. And if we were to do it again, we'd certainly use animals first, and then plant all the pioneers, the legumes and other chop and drop sort of trees, and then later on plant the fruit trees. We found that over the summer it's been pretty hot and it's dried them out. The little trees haven't done so well, they've struggled. Most of them still alive, but just barely, and they need a bit of shade. And of course over time they need the nitrogen fixes and the nitrogen to help them grow, so we will add the legumes in as soon as we can, and maybe a bit more mulch.